Hi, I'm here to talk about the BodyMedia API. It's a data API. Um, and basically the things I'm going to go through is introduction, introduction of myself, and company background. I don't know, how many people have heard of BodyMedia? I know people in the back there have. And I'll go through who BodyMedia is, what we've done, where we've come from. Then I'll talk about the BodyMedia Fit system and what it is that we do, what we collect, and what we make available to you. Move on to API options, how you can work with BodyMedia, what you can do, what your options are, and finally finish up with questions. Okay, so first off, I'm Mark Handel. I'm the Director of Software Development at BodyMedia. And I've been at BodyMedia for quite a while, basically since the company started. So I'll go through my history at the same time as BodyMedia's because they're pretty similar. We were founded in 1999. And the problem back in 1999 is BodyMedia makes wearable body monitors. And back in 1999, the consumer world was not ready for wearable body monitors. So we were going through the process of deciding how we could create our market, and we began in the research and clinical area. So initially, we were working with such things as pharmaceutical companies. We were working in research, NASA, trips up Everest, things like that, pretty interesting. And we were actually proving that they were using us to validate their data. So we've progressed into the actual consumer space in 2008, and we created the BodyMedia Fit system. And the BodyMedia Fit system takes our monitor, our armband, and it moves it into the weight loss space. And what we're doing is we're basically taking the philosophy of knowledge is power for our users. And we give knowledge in a way that our users have not had before today. And it's actually, since 2008, we started with a launch in our e-commerce and not much outreach, but recently we've had some major partnerships, and our user base is growing exponentially, which is very important for people who are interested in integrating with BodyMedia because more users means greater opportunity for you. So let's talk about the armband. Our armband, I should say it calculates calories burned, physical activity, steps, and sleep. But it does this by measuring your motion via accelerometers, your heat dissipation from your body, your skin temperature, and how much your skin conductivity. And using that information, it actually turns it into these calories burned, physical activity, steps, and sleep. Now, we can claim that we're 90% accurate of calories burned over the course of a day because of our clinical heritage, because we need it to be. We're actually an FDA approved medical device. So everything that we say is validated and audited by the FDA. So we've gone over the course of time, and we've been constantly evolving. If you come to our booth on the North Hall, you can see the evolution of our armbands. Started from large form factor, smaller, smaller, smaller. Now we're evolving to the point where we're going to be producing wearable, consumable patches, and we're going to have an M2M model, which is similar to Kindle, where it's always on the cell network. So no more uploading. Your data is always available to you. Now, what we're in the initial part of 2012, we're going to be releasing Bluetooth upload. So basically going to a tetherless environment where you wear your armband, and through your smartphone, your mobile phone, you'll actually be able to upload to your account. So we're kind of removing the need to actually be in front of your PCs at all. This is all important because ease of use is critical to our consumers, and we've found that. And the easier we make our product to work with, the more consumers and the longer we'll have those consumers. So let's look at the BodyMedia Fit system. And this is important because it gives everyone an idea of the type of data that we collect and the type of data that is available to you. So if you look at this interface, it's on the left is the summary dashboard, and you can see it's calories consumed, calories burned, your calorie balance, which is the difference between calories consumed and burned, your physical activity levels, your number of steps you've taken, the amount of sleep. And sleep is it's not only an amount of sleep, it's the quality of your sleep. Are you disrupted, are you not, and your weight information. So if you explode it, on the bottom right, you can see that graph where it shows the detail of the data that we collect. And that is a minute-by-minute breakdown of caloric burn. And what's really interesting about this graph is that a lot of different devices that you can interface with will give you, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see a big blob of blue. And that's a workout area where you gather a lot more caloric burn information. But you can see throughout the rest of the day that you have all kinds of spikes. It just shows you what your normal life is like. And this type of information is vital to many different aspects, not only to us in terms of weight loss, but in different avenues in which a data API can be explored. So if we look at different uses, these are applications that BodyMedia has built today. We've built applications for iOS. You can see the mobile app there. It's basically an interface of the Activity Manager, our web-based product. And we have both the summary and we have detailed views. On the left-hand side, we have a Panasonic TV. And that's an interesting play in that what you can do is actually watch real-time video while having a Bluetooth connection with your armband. So you can do things like work out for a specific amount of time or to burn a specific amount of calories while watching your favorite program or a workout video or sports, but basically getting the armband into your everyday life. And on the far right, you can see an Android application. And what that is, it's the beginnings of an engagement. And that particular depiction of the sleep, what it is it's saying, based upon my data, the flock of the sheep will change. If I've slept a lot, the volume or the number of sheep indicate how much I've slept, and how close or far they are from you indicates the quality of my sleep. So why this is all important is because each of these applications were built using our data API. And that means that any of this information would be available to any developer. Now there's what I was talking about before. There's more than one way to work with BodyMedia. We have our data API, which I was just talking about, and that's just accessing the data of all our user base. Then we have the next level, which we member services, and that means that you are actually the owner of the user within the BodyMedia Fit system, and it's a different level of access to the users themselves. And the third is Armband Services, where essentially what you're doing is you are interacting with the armband itself. You're getting the data from the armband and storing it yourself. So at that point, we no longer own the data. It becomes yours. And it's a different type of model and different type of interaction. And each of those are various levels of complexity of interacting with BodyMedia. So I'll go through them one by one. So the data API overview. As I said before, in those applications, it grants read access to any data that's presented within the BodyMedia Fit system. And that includes the things that I mentioned before. That's not only the device information, but it's also information which the users supply themselves, such as their caloric consumption information, their goals, their targets, their weights, things like that. Applications can specify the level of data that they want to return. So in that particular example of the mobile app, for a summary view, I'm just interested in the top level, but if I want to dive down into the details, I can. Now, it's very, you do it all via via flags within the URLs themselves. And it's important not to ask for too much data when you don't need it. It would just degrade your whole performance. But it's amazingly important that when you need to dive down into the details that you're able to do so. Now, what we're going to be releasing in the early part of 2012 is the ability for applications to subscribe to changes in the user's data. That means there's no necessity to poll for changes, anything like that. We'll tell you the user is updated, and you should go ask for some data about them. So let's look at a little more detail about the data API. It's RESTful services. Simple. RESTful services, if you guys have worked with them before, are amazingly easy to incorporate into your application, and they can be accessed via web applications, they can be accessed via mobile applications, TV applications. It's all really simple to do. And with the straight-up data API, it's an OAuth integration. But if you're a member services customer, which I'll go over in a minute, you can have a shared secret authentication. That means that you don't need to necessarily have the user authenticate themselves. Since you're the owner of the user, you can request any data for any particular user in your organization. It returns XML and JSON, and you just do so by specifying which format that you'd like. And you can go and get more details if you go to developer.bodymedia.com. So let's look at a data API example. This is really interesting. It's this company called Earned It. And what they do is they look at our, what I was talking about before. You can get down to details in our caloric burn. We can get minute-by-minute information. Well, what you can also get is an intensity identifier. And essentially what that means is it creates a level playing field across all kinds of users as to how intense their activity is at this particular moment. So what Earned It is doing is they have created an application where Earned It has integrated a whole host of different applications, Runkeeper, a whole bunch of different mobile apps that track activity, and they award points for every minute that the user's active or how many miles that they've run or how far they've biked. And for us, they award points based upon the vigor in which people are active. So it's really interesting that for our user base, that they can come in, become members of the BodyMedia Fit system, and then they can start redeeming for rewards. And it becomes a very powerful thing to incent our users to become more active. It also adds a bit of a gamification aspect to our system, which is really important. But you can see this basic example of what you can do can be drawn out in many different ways. So say you want to get into the gamification aspect. Well, you have virtual reality or you have a virtual character. You start feeding this virtual character real information about the person, and they don't sleep well enough or they don't get enough, they're not active enough. The actual virtual character responds accordingly. They're either really healthy, their health improves, or they don't. You can, if they're not eating well, it's the same type of thing where you can start feeding different systems real data by integrating with the BodyMedia Fit API. Other examples which we have, which could be very powerful, or things like corporate wellness. So there are different levels of integration. You have a corporate wellness or some type of wellness application where people actually begin to see tangible real-world benefits based upon lower copays, anything like that, from data that is being read from our API or from other sources. Okay, so for member services, these are for organizations who have their own user management system. And it's a SOAP-based, and what that means is if they have an e-commerce system, they own the user, but they want to incorporate a system like the activity manager into their whole system, that they can take their user and tie into our back end, create users, have an SSO login into our activity manager, and have a seamless experience. So it's a SOAP-based interface for the management of BodyMedia Fit users with, as I said, the SSO capability to launch the activity manager. An example that we just launched in November is Jillian Michaels. So Jillian has the 360 weight loss navigator. This is her skin of the activity manager itself. But her program is bigger than this. And she has weight loss plans. She has activity plans, things that don't reside within our system. So what she did is she took her user base and used our member services platform and is able to translate Jillian memberships into the BodyMedia Fit system, launches via SSO, and we fully branded our system to her skin. Now, where we're going with this in the long term, or actually the near term, is that member service customers won't need to interact with our activity manager. What we're going to be doing in our data API is allowing for member service partners to actually write all of the necessary bits of information via registration, so that we can then just be simply acting as a data repository, that then they can access all of the data from our, or for their users via our data API. And you can see how this would be potentially in an example like Jillian. So say that she wanted to build some type of system where she built challenges into her own portal. Well, she could do that by using the data API, using her user management system, understanding what user is tied into our system, pulling out the appropriate data, linking all of the users together into a challenge, and then creating whatever rules are necessary. So having that ability to oversee her users, pull the data back to her side, makes the overall power of the system much more seamless. And Armband Services. So Armband Services is a bit of a lower level interaction with our hardware. And what it is that it allows for direct communication with our armband. That means that you're going to be either via Objective-C or C++, interfacing with our libraries that then can communicate, pull data off of our armband, and send the data up to your servers for storing. It doesn't actually integrate at all with the BodyMedia Fit system. So if you went down this route, what you'd be doing is deciding not to become part of the BodyMedia Fit ecosystem, but rather would be part of your own world. And that can be good. So for example, with the Armband Services model, there's no reason. You could just simply write a report writer where you have one upload and you create a PDF report. Say you want to create an application where at the end of a marathon, you have everyone wear an armband. At the end, you just give them a report that shows them how many calories they burned and how many steps they took over the course of that marathon. You could do that with Armband Services. Here's an example. It's .fit. It's one of our partners, and they built a website that their main focus is in the club world. So they go into the fitness clubs, and they provide software specific to them. And it's not something that we're particularly focusing on at BodyMedia. So this is an environment where they were able to create software which satisfied the needs. They created a situation where their clients can be managed by fitness trainers. And as we said before, for the data API, the easiest place to see how to get started is to go to developer.bodymedia.com. There you'll find all kinds of documentation. You'll find tips and actual sample code of how to work with our API. API is really super simple. Our partners have gotten up and running in a matter of days. And there's different levels of working with BodyMedia. Out of the gate, it's a non-commercial license, and should we want to take a commercial, then BodyMedia. No GPS right now. It's all worse. Garmin heart rate. Sorry, Garmin heart rate specifically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.